There are a few sentences in marriage that should set off sirens. Mine was, I think we should arrive separately this year. That came out of Dana's mouth over morning espresso, like she was announcing a new brunch spot. No drama, no build-up, just casually dropping a bomb between her oat milk foam and the Sunday crossword. We were talking about the River Point Children's Gala. Annual thing. Tuxedos, crystal chandeliers, donor plaques, rich people pretending their guilt could be tax-deductible. We've been going together for the last 8 years. It was the one night a year Dana didn't pretend she didn't miss being admired. She lived for it. The gowns, the speeches, the way people whispered when we entered the ballroom like we were royalty in hiding. So when she told me to come alone, I knew something was off. And when I asked why, she looked over her coffee and said, "Don't embarrass me with questions." The week leading up to the gala, I didn't push it, didn't pry, didn't accuse. I watched. I waited. And I took notes, silently, the way quiet people do when they know the storm's coming. Dana was suddenly efficient. Her workouts got longer. Her phone got quieter. Her wardrobe got more expensive. She had a new nail color, blood red, not her usual beige. She hummed when she thought I couldn't hear her. And she started smiling at texts. The kind of smile you don't make for Amazon order confirmations. Then came the dry cleaning slip, folded inside a kitchen drawer where I'd never seen one before. Not her usual drop at front desk spot. A silver foil tag with our last name, her initials, and the garment. Gown, midnight sequin, custom back, Atelier Adele. I'd never seen that dress. Not once. And I would have remembered. Dana cataloged her wardrobe like a museum curator. She'd spend hours twirling in front of mirrors, testing angles, lighting, making sure the dress told the right story before the night even began. This one she hid. Until I saw it again. Just not on her. It was 2 nights before the gala. I was scrolling through Instagram, pretending to be asleep, when a name caught my eye. At the Amalfi Archivist, one of those lifestyle influencer types. Dana followed her for recipes and elevated minimalism. She'd posted a story from some private pre-gala party. Slow pan across the rooftop crowd, champagne in hand, all soft focus and string quartet vibes. And there, near the end, was Dana, laughing, spinning, wearing the midnight sequin dress, wrapped around a man I didn't know. Tall, square-jawed, boardroom energy, the type of guy who names his cologne after himself. Dana was holding his wrist like a secret. He kissed her cheek. She didn't flinch. She smiled. That same texting smile. I didn't say anything. Didn't even breathe heavy. I just rewatched the clip. 5 times. Then screen recorded it, just in case. After that, I powered off my phone, set down the remote, and sat in the dark for 20 minutes. Thinking. Not about confrontation. Not about heartbreak. About timing. Because if Dana thought she could rewrite the rules of our marriage with a borrowed dress and a rooftop affair, she'd underestimated who she married. I wasn't just going to show up at the gala. I was going to steal the damn show and make sure the entire boardroom remembered who brought the curtain down. The secret to public revenge is dressing it up like generosity. You can't scream in a ballroom. You can't swing punches in front of auction paddles and champagne towers. No, if you want to hurt someone in that world, you do it quietly, surgically, with a smile on your face and a check in your hand. I started planning the next morning. First, I needed to know who the guy was. Tall, salt and pepper hair, tailored navy suit. The clip from At the Amalfi Archivist didn't tag him, but I screenshotted the frame and ran it through a facial recognition tool a buddy of mine built in law school. 90 seconds later, I had a name. Christian Laird. Of course it was something smug like Christian. Laird was a managing partner at a capital group, one of those shadowy investment firms that funds hedge funds and donates just enough to children's hospitals to keep people from asking questions. Married, of course. 3 kids. And, here's the kicker, a sitting member of the River Point Foundation board. Which meant he would be at the gala, front and center, applauding from a $10,000 table. Beside his wife. Dana knew that. She wasn't dumb. She was just arrogant. Step 2. I called the River Point Foundation's gala coordinator under the name Edward Branner, a donor alias I used when I didn't want Dana's friends connecting the dots. I'd like to make an anonymous contribution, I said. Is the children's hospital naming auction still open? The woman's voice lit up like a string of bulbs. Absolutely. The bidding closes during the silent auction on gala night, but I can walk you through the pre-qualification process now. Excellent. I'm interested in the hospital wing, specifically naming rights. She hesitated. Well, that's the centerpiece item. The current high pledge is 7 figures. I'm aware, I said. Pause. I'll put you in touch with Mr. Wilkes, the auction chair. He can help expedite the documentation. I'd appreciate that. I gave her my burner email. Hung up. Then went upstairs, opened my safe, and pulled out the divorce settlement Dana didn't know I'd pre-drafted last year, just in case. I wasn't going to just out her. I was going to make her unignorable. That night, Dana came home late. Wore her hair in beachy waves, even though it was October and we were 200 miles from any coastline. She kissed my cheek like she was reading a script. You get your tux pressed? She asked. Already taken care of. You remember, black tie this year. Not semi. I'll manage. She smiled, absent. Eyes already on her phone. Thumb dancing across the screen like it had somewhere better to be. And I let her. Because in 48 hours, I'd be handing her a drink and then handing her the stage. She just didn't know it yet. The day of the gala, the house smelled like perfume and dry shampoo. Dana was in full prep mode. Hot tools hissing, jewelry laid out like tactical gear, perfume bottles arranged by seductive intent. Do you mind getting a car separately? She called from the vanity. I'm meeting up with a few girls for a pre-event photo thing. I didn't look up from my laptop. Of course, I said. Wouldn't want to cramp your angles. She paused, smiled without turning. That's why I love you. You're so understanding. I smiled back. For the last time. I arrived at the Carlton Ballroom 20 minutes early. The place was a cathedral of hypocrisy. Domed ceilings, orchestras, pillars, and enough glassware to outfit Versailles. Waiters floated between guests like tuxedoed ghosts, and everyone's diamonds were visible from across the room. I scanned for Christian Laird. Found him at table 3, right near the front, under the spotlight zone, laughing like he'd never paid for a secret in his life. Dana wasn't with him. Yet. I headed toward the back, where the silent auction tables were set up. Item number 12, Riverpoint Children's Hospital, East Wing naming rights. Minimum bid, $1 million. Current bid, anonymous donor. I handed my sealed envelope to the attendant. Inside was my bid, $1.25 million, and a nameplate card that read, The Laird Family Children's Wing, in honor of Meredith Laird's unwavering grace. Christian's wife. Dana's soon-to-be contact in a group chat called Ex-Wives of Philanthropy. The attendant smiled, took my envelope, and slid it into the acrylic box. I straightened my cufflinks, walked to the bar, and ordered a bourbon. Do you want that neat or with a twist? The bartender asked. I smiled. Oh, I said. There's a twist coming. She arrived fashionably late, because of course she did. Dana was nothing if not a woman who understood timing. Not in the punctuality sense. She was chronically 15 minutes behind. But theatrically, she could stage an entrance like it was a Broadway opening. Her dress was sapphire, backless, neckline sharp enough to cut steak. Hair swept up into some architecturally impossible twist that made her look regal, aloof, and just unattainable enough to demand whispers. People turned. Men glanced, women smirked, and the photographers by the marble staircase practically stumbled over each other. She let them. Paused. Posed. Smiled. Not with her eyes, never with her eyes, and drifted through the crowd like she was floating. I stood at the edge of the bar, sipping my bourbon. She didn't notice me. She noticed him. Christian. He was already watching her, eyes gleaming like he owned the room and the girl walking into it. Meredith, his wife, had gone to powder her nose, probably. Or maybe she was playing her own game. Either way, Dana passed within 2 feet of him. No words. Just a glance. A flicker of recognition that would have looked like nothing to the untrained eye. But I saw it. Because I'd seen it before, 8 years ago, when Dana first looked at me like that across a gala floor. And I remembered exactly how it felt. Which made this whole thing that much easier. The event director clinked her mic near the podium. The room hushed like trained dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, if you'll make your way toward the main floor, the evening's featured silent auction winners will be announced shortly. There it was. The fuse, officially lit. I made my way through the tables, nodding at donors I didn't care about, slipping past clutches of polished men and bejeweled wives exchanging compliments like currency. Table 3 was full now. Christian sat beside Meredith. Dana had joined table 9, just far enough to keep things deniable, just close enough to keep him in her peripheral vision. She never once looked my way. Good. Better that way. Because when the auctioneer took the mic, the lights dipped, the orchestra paused, and the real performance began. Before we get to dessert, we're thrilled to announce the winning donors of this year's headline auction items, said the MC. From naming a surgical suite, to scholarships, to the highly anticipated East Wing dedication at River Point Children's Hospital. He paused for effect. Waited. People leaned forward. Dana adjusted her diamond bracelet like it was strangling her. And then the MC read from the card. We're proud to announce that the naming rights for the East Wing have been secured with a generous donation of $1.25 million by an anonymous contributor. And, per their wishes, the new Pediatric Recovery Center will bear the name. The Laird Family Children's Wing, in honor of Meredith Laird's unwavering grace. Time didn't stop. It just glitched. There was no gasp, no dramatic music cue. Just a beat of frozen silence, like everyone in the room collectively forgot how to breathe. And then, Meredith laughed. Sharp, bright, unhinged. Christian's eyes went wide. Dana's mouth parted. And I sipped my bourbon and smiled. Meredith stood slowly, turned to the room, and clapped. Once, twice, 3 times. Isn't that lovely? She said, voice like shattered glass on silk. Unwavering grace. Imagine having that named after you, by someone who clearly thinks I deserve more than just his loyalty. No one moved. The silence that followed was so dense it could have bent light. Meredith looked at Christian, who was doing the mental gymnastics of a man caught mid-lie with no net below him, and said, Don't bother denying it. I saw the Instagram story. Dana's eyes shot toward her. Big mistake. You looked happy, Meredith continued, her tone brittle as bone. I almost missed it. But then again, betrayal always looks prettier in sequence. The entire table recoiled as if someone had spilled boiling water. Dana opened her mouth, closed it, then stood, not with elegance, not with poise, but with the stilted panic of a woman realizing the movie she thought she was directing just played out with her as the punchline. She turned toward me then, really looked at me for the first time all night. And in that moment, I saw it. The shift, the comprehension, the look of someone who'd just realized the hospital wing wasn't named after her, but after the woman whose husband she'd been stealing. People began murmuring. The ripple effect was instantaneous. Board members whispering, donors stiffening, phones lighting up under tables. Some were already Googling Meredith's name, trying to connect the dots. And once they did, there'd be no PR team in the world fast enough to salvage it. I stepped away from the bar, dropped my drink napkin on a side plate, and walked straight past Dana, who stared at me like she couldn't remember how we ever got here. I didn't stop, didn't speak, just dropped a sealed envelope on the dessert card as I passed. Her name written on the front in black ink. Inside, the divorce papers. Pre-signed. No drama. No theatrics. Just clean, quiet closure. The kind you deliver when the spotlight's already burned everything else to ash. Some explosions don't come with fire. Some just hum beneath the surface, like pressure under porcelain. Perfectly silent until the first crack appears. And then, all at once, everything gives. The gala didn't end in chaos. That would have been too easy. It ended in hushes. In forks clinking nervously against dessert plates. In sideways glances and slow, stiff sips of champagne, as couples recalculated their proximity to scandal. The air felt thick. Humid, almost. Dana was nowhere to be seen. Neither was Christian. But Meredith? She stayed seated. Composed. Poised. A faint tremor in the corner of her wine glass, the only tell that anything had shifted beneath that elegant surface. Someone tried to start applause after the final auction item, a hopeful reset button. It died in the echo. The orchestra came back in with a shaky rendition of a Gershwin piece no one cared about. Waiters resumed service like nothing happened, which in this crowd was the closest thing to protocol. Pretend, perform, proceed. But the damage was done. No amount of dessert trays or string instruments was going to unhear what had just been announced over a wireless microphone with perfect acoustics. I moved through the ballroom like a ghost. Not hiding, not gloating, just detached. I'd orchestrated this night like a symphony. Not for attention, not for drama, just precision. And now I wanted to watch the music end. Dana had always believed in optics. Appearances. If she couldn't control the narrative, she at least wanted to influence the lighting. But there's no flattering angle when your sins are lit from above, spotlighted by a $1.25 million check. and a nameplate built for permanence. I passed table 3 again. Meredith was still there, alone now, quietly folding her napkin with the patience of a surgeon. I paused beside her. She looked up, eyes clear. No mascara smears. No tears. Just understanding. "You did this," she said. I didn't answer. She smiled, small, tight, not unkind. "Good." Then she stood, walked away. No dramatics. No last word. Just a woman who knew what it meant to be publicly betrayed and privately prepared. I found Dana near the valet portico. She stood by a marble column, half-shadowed, arms crossed tight across that sapphire dress like it could still protect her from everything unraveling inside. She didn't see me right away. Her phone was in her hand. No notifications. Just the blank screen you stare at when you're hoping it rings and dreading who it might be. I stepped forward. She turned. There was no pretense anymore. No charm. Just the raw edge of someone who had finally run out of mirrors. "Why?" she asked. Not bitter. Not even angry. Just flat. "Because," I said, "you asked me not to embarrass you with questions." She looked away. "That name," she said. "On the hospital wing." "You're welcome," I said. Her jaw clenched. "Do you know what you've done?" I nodded. "Made it permanent." Dana stared at me, waiting for remorse. Or rage. Or even a trace of the man who used to bring her coffee every morning and watch The Crown without complaint. But that man died somewhere between a dry cleaning receipt and a 20-second Instagram story. "What happens now?" she asked. I pulled a slim white envelope from my inside jacket pocket. Held it out. She hesitated, then took it. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. One look. That's all it took. She didn't say anything. Didn't have to. She just closed the flap, pressed the envelope to her chest, and turned away. I watched her walk to the edge of the curb, not waiting for a car, just existing, uninvited, unwelcome, unloved. I didn't stay for the final toast. Didn't need to. The real toast had happened an hour ago, when an entire room of donors realized the most expensive item on the auction table wasn't a surgical suite or a naming right. It was the truth, wrapped in a bow, with receipts. The drive home was quiet. I didn't play music, didn't think about next steps. I just let the silence wash over me like a tide going out, pulling away the residue of a marriage that had stopped being mine long before I admitted it. At a red light, I scrolled through my phone. There it was, a photo uploaded to the Gala's official account. Me, standing near the auction table, holding a drink, looking off camera. Captioned, "Mr. Branner, longtime donor, at the 2025 River Point Gala. The night's most unforgettable moment." I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was true. The most unforgettable moment wasn't the food, or the band, or the flowers flown in from Italy. It was the sound of a woman realizing her name would never be on the plaque. But her shadow? That would hang there forever. Backlit, bold, etched in marble and memory. The Monday after the gala felt like the morning after a hurricane. Blue skies pretending nothing happened, but every street corner telling a different story. Emails trickled in like aftershocks. Beautiful event. Unforgettable night. You looked sharp. Are you consulting now? Was that intentional? Even the vague ones knew. Everyone knew. In elite social circles, gossip moves faster than equity, especially when it's broadcast through catered scandal and million-dollar microphones. The first actual call came from Randall Wilkes, auction chair, committee bulldog, and one of Dana's favorite schmooze targets. "Don't suppose you'd consider joining the River Point board?" he asked, voice tight with forced enthusiasm. "You think I still qualify after last weekend?" He chuckled, nervous. "Your donation bought more than a nameplate. You've, restructured the room." That was one way to put it. I told him I'd consider it. Not because I cared about being on the board, but because I knew Christian would no longer be. The fallout hit him like a trust fund foreclosure. Board meeting on Tuesday, emergency session. Wednesday, his name scrubbed from the foundation's website. By Friday, someone leaked an email from Christian's own company confirming he'd stepped down to focus on personal matters. Translation: he'd been ejected like a champagne cork under too much pressure. Meredith didn't waste time either. She made 3 moves in 1 week. Rebranded all their social accounts under her maiden name. Filed for divorce. Quietly, strategically, with a team of attorneys she'd clearly had on speed dial. Announced a new scholarship fund in her own name. The Grace Initiative, because faith isn't always enough. She included a photo of the hospital rendering, the new Leair wing, with herself and the architectural team. No Christian, no mention of Dana. Just her, smiling, restored. Dana, on the other hand, she vanished. First, from socials. Then from friend circles. Finally, from the city altogether. I got a formal response from her attorney regarding the divorce. Signed, compliant, no fuss. Just a quiet surrender from someone who'd lost more than a husband. She tried to control the narrative. Tried to turn her absence into mystery. But absence doesn't win when receipts exist. It just makes them louder. And people noticed. Her absence became its own presence. Whispers replaced greetings. Invitations dried up. The people who once invited her to fundraisers now crossed the street when they saw her name on anything. Reputation doesn't die in flames. It dies in silence. I wasn't immune from the scrutiny either. People asked questions. Why not confront her privately? Did you have to be so public? Wasn't that a little brutal? I didn't argue. Didn't defend. I just smiled and said, she chose the stage. I just gave her the mic. Because revenge, when done right, isn't about rage. It's about balance. And Dana had tilted the scale for too long. 6 weeks later, the hospital sent over the final plaque design for approval. Simple brushed steel. Clean serif font. The Laird Family Children's Wing. In honor of Meredith Laird's unwavering grace. They asked if I wanted to add a dedication line. I declined. Some things are louder without footnotes. The unveiling was scheduled for spring. Meredith would be the keynote speaker. She invited me to attend. I said yes. Not to gloat. Not to bask. Just to see the plaque on the wall. Permanent. Unedited. And to remind myself, sometimes the best things you build come from the wreckage someone else left behind. The hospital wing unveiling took place on the first warm Saturday of spring, the kind of morning that made you forget winter ever happened. I arrived early, not to make a statement, just to see it before the cameras did. The parking lot was already filling with people who wore their philanthropy like designer cologne, local officials in pastel ties, donor wives in champagne linen, the sort of crowd that claps louder for marble than medicine. But I wasn't here for the performance. I was here for the plaque. It was mounted just inside the main glass entrance. Stainless steel, brushed to a mirror finish. The sunlight hit it perfectly, every word clean and sharp, like it had always been there. The Laird Family Children's Wing. In honor of Meredith Laird's unwavering grace. It looked exactly how I'd envisioned it when I sealed that auction envelope. Permanent, poised, and devastatingly polite. Meredith arrived 5 minutes before the program began, dressed in tailored navy. No husband. No handlers. Just her and a leather folio under one arm. She nodded when she saw me, then walked up to the podium without pause, like someone who'd walked through fire and now didn't flinch at warmth. Good morning, she said into the mic, voice steady. When I first heard someone had named this wing in my honor, I was confused, then flattered, then furious. And now, she paused, smiled. Now I'm grateful. A chuckle ran through the crowd, uncertain, but warm. This place isn't just bricks and beams. It's belief that what happens to us doesn't have to define us. That grace isn't about silence. It's about surviving with style. She turned her head, looked straight at me. Sometimes the most generous thing someone can do is give you the floor you were too afraid to step on yourself. Polite applause. And behind it, stunned faces. Because everyone knew exactly what she meant, without needing a single name mentioned. After the speeches, people milled around the courtyard, posing with the new signage, complimenting the architecture, making small talk like nothing seismic had shifted beneath their shoes. I stood near the fountain, watching, not waiting. I didn't expect Dana to show, but I noticed the glances. The "is he the one" stares. The subtle nods from men who'd once looked past me and now saw something unshakable. Not status, not scandal, just someone who'd played the long game and won. Meredith approached near the end. No entourage, no cameras, just her, holding 2 paper cups of black coffee. Thought you might like one, she said. I took it, sipped. She joined me in silence. I read the final donation list, she said. Saw your name next to mine. Seemed appropriate, I said. She nodded. Christian's lawyers have been quiet. He's trying to settle, but I'm not letting him keep the house. Good. And Dana? Settled. Quietly. She moved to Scottsdale. Fitting, Meredith said. Nothing blooms in that kind of heat. We stood there a moment longer. 2 people bound not by affection, but aftermath. And oddly, that was enough. I left before the press tour. Before the ribbon cutting, I didn't need to see my name in print. It was already written in the silence that followed every glance at that plaque, in the discomfort masked by applause, in the wives gripping their husbands' arms just a little tighter on the way to the parking lot, not out of affection, but fear, because they knew now what exposure looks like, what elegance and vengeance feels like. On the drive home, I passed the gala venue, the one from 6 months ago. The banners were down, the florals long gone, but inside, I could still picture it. Dana spinning in sequins that weren't for me, Christian raising a toast meant to disguise a lie, and Meredith sitting 2 seats away from the wrecking ball no one saw coming. And me? I wasn't angry, wasn't even proud, just done. The kind of done that doesn't need closure, because the story told itself. And I didn't just survive the gala. I rewrote it. Forever. Subscribe to the channel